Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you. So I like to tell my guests sometimes that we have the nicest homeless population in the world as long as there are good drugs in the city. But as soon as there are bad drugs, a lot of the people you meet on the street are not so good. And a lot of people have asked me, what do you mean by bad drugs? Aren't all drugs bad? And I will admit, I look at them funny because, like, everyone in their right mind knows that fentanyl and pot are not anywhere near the same category. But there are a lot of people in the French Quarter who are doing drugs. Like, it is just part of life down there. You're going to smell pot pretty much everywhere you go. And you will see people just, like, having fun and smoking pot out on the street. And yes, I have walked by people with literal bags of drugs on a tray that they're walking down the street screaming out, I got your pot, I got your meth, I got your crack. But one of my more recent fun stories is there was one night I was doing a story at the Ursuline Convent, and there's a traffic cone set up, and it's blocking off a pothole, no big deal, whatever. I'm telling this story, not really thinking about it. This guy walks up, sort of waves at me, leans down, tips over the traffic cone, picks up a bag, and walks away, waving at my guests. And for some unknown reason, I was sure this was a sandwich. And so after the story was over, I just commented to my guests and and weird things happen, like people come and grab sandwiches. And one of my guests looks me dead in the eye and says, nope, not a sandwich. That was a crack pipe and a little bag of white powder. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I will admit, it's sort of an ingenious idea because you don't want to be caught carrying drugs with you. And if you leave them most places, someone's going to steal them. But who's going to think to look under a traffic cone for your drugs? But, whatever. There was also once a lady who came on one of my ghost hunts who asked me if smoking was all right. And yeah, out in the courtyard it was. So I told her, of course, when you're out in the courtyard, you can smoke. Just, make sure you don't leave cigarette butts anywhere and, like, collect your ashes in the ashtrays, act like a proper human being. And I'm walking amongst all the different guests, going upstairs, checking on the ones upstairs, going inside, checking on the ones down there. And I step out into the courtyard to talk to her, and I smell that distinctive whiff. And I realized that when she asked me if it was okay to smoke, she didn't mean cigarettes. And I had one of those moments of deciding, like, am I gonna say anything about this? And because they were the only ones out in the courtyard, I was just like, nah, might be more fun to be high on a ghost hunt. I don't know, whatevs, have fun. Sadly, they did not stay much longer after that. I think they fell asleep and therefore went home. There's also been a couple of different nights where I was telling a story, standing in a location, wearing sandals, and suddenly look down and realize that there are 4 or 5 needles just sitting on the sidewalk around my feet. Now, if anyone ever asks why I tend to wear platform sandals in the French Quarter, that's why. I ain't wearing flip-flops down there. I don't want that stuff going in my feet. But the other one that I just find strange is when I first started working as a tour guide, on a regular basis, my guests would ask me, where can I go get some drugs? Where can I buy pot? Where can I get, occasionally someone would ask for something harder, like, where can I get heroin? And I'm like, I really don't know that one. And, like, I always told them, like, I don't know for sure, but come on, this is the French Quarter. Just walk around until you hear someone talking about drugs and ask where. Or bartenders. A lot of bartenders can point you in the right direction. But weirdly, in the last couple of years, nobody's asked me where to buy drugs anymore. And I can't help but feel that it might be a good thing that I no longer exude the aura that says I know where to buy drugs. Because also, fun fact, I don't. I can't help you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below.